What if I showed you how to paint a watercolor in only 4 colors? Would you try it? In this minimalist approach, I achieved a moody scene that surprised even me. Plus, at the end, I'm going to show you 2 tricks to paint a white fence in the middle of a field. On to our limited palette. The first thing I did was I needed to see how the colors I chose would work together. So really the first grid is this, where I'm just combining the 2 colors. The next step was to combine 3 colors, and that's what these are here. So I can see the different kinds of combinations that I would get. I was particularly interested in the greens because I was trying to do a green sky. Then I was trying to do 4 colors. So the next step was to test the colors out in just a small sample. I took the mixed green and I combined it with the Winsor violet to see if I could get a gray, and it's sort of a greenish gray. And then the step after that was to try a test of the composition, just a little quickie watercolor sketch to see how the colors would look. And my major concern was, what would the green sky look like? And it actually looks good. So that really encouraged me, and I moved forward with the actual painting. This is the reference photo on which this painting is loosely based. I took this photo several years ago at Shaker Village at a county south of mine, a couple counties south of me, and have painted it a number of times in different ways. I tend to paint it from memory, but this is where the idea came from, so you can get a good look at it. Most of the time, I work from the top of the paper and down, so that means doing the sky first. My usual approach is to put some water on the paper so that I can work wet into wet, and I'm using, if you've been following my videos, my now famous chip brush because I love the random marks that it gives you. In my palette, I've mixed up Hansa yellow medium along with cobalt blue to get the green that I'm going to start with in the sky. I loaded the brush a little bit unevenly, meaning there was a little more green on one side of the brush and a little more blue on the other. In fact, if you look at the well on the right, you can see that the color is not entirely mixed in the well, and that helped me do that. By keeping some of the colors separate, that will allow them to blend by themselves on the paper, and that leads to beautiful atmospheric effects. I'm tilting the board to encourage the colors to blend more. Here I'm dropping in a little bit of clean water, and that will cause some blossoms and add to the shape and mood of the clouds. I need to mix some paint, and I'm going to speed that clip up so you can see how the colors are blending by themselves while I'm mixing paint. You might be wondering, why a green sky? Well, a friend of mine challenged me with the idea. I hadn't really thought of it, and then after she showed me some examples from some impressionistic painters, I thought, oh yeah, I am going to try that. So this is why I'm painting a green sky. In the very last well at the bottom, I have mixed up a gray. This is Hansa Yellow Light, Cobalt Blue, and Winsor Violet. What I'm showing you here is I'm starting to paint the background hills, but I didn't have enough pigment in my brush. So it first went on with a dry brush where the paint was skipping over the top of the tooth of the paper. I did manage to get more pigment into the brush, and that has helped. I'm starting to work on the field between the distant hills and the fence, so I've reverted back to using the green that I mixed up. I'm leaving spaces in, roughly parallelogram shapes. Those later will become houses. Because watercolor dries lighter, I knew I needed to add more value in the background, and that's what I'm doing here. Adding cobalt blue to the mixture makes it more gray. I didn't have the reference photo in front of me when I was painting the scene, mostly because I've painted it like 5 times. But I love the scene, and it always turns out different, and it's lots of fun. So if you're wondering why I'm painting at the angle that I am, it's just because my memory of the scene was not the same as the reference photo. There are 2 tricks to painting the white fence. One is to leave some space between the fence and the field. Later on, I'll show you how to get the slat. If you look at the reference photo, you can see how all the brushy foliage up near the fence has almost a soft look to it. To achieve that soft look, I'm putting down fairly clean water and will work wet and wet in order to get that softness. Now I'm dropping in some orange I mixed up to give the suggestion of dried foliage. The orange is a combination of Red Rose Deep and Hansa Yellow Medium. If you look closely, you can see that the wash that I have for the midground to the foreground is very wet, where the paint is so wet it's dripping down the page. This is a common technique that watercolor artists use to show how the shapes are all connected. I'm mixing up a darker green by adding more cobalt blue into the existing green mix. Again, because I wasn't looking at the reference photo when I painted this, the foliage in the foreground is going to look different here than in the reference photo. The point here being that as you get closer to the viewer, you're going to see deeper values, and that helps bring the shapes forward. To deepen the shadows on the foliage further, I've now added Winsor Violet into my mixture of blue and green. Off camera, I've scraped with the corner of a credit card into the foliage to try to bring out some details of the stalks. If your timing is good, and mine wasn't, it'll actually lift the paint and give white stalks and add just beautiful detail without much effort. I've zoomed in on the reference photo for you so you can see the houses that are in the distance. Now, mine turned out bigger than that, but that's okay. This section is to show you how you can take parallelograms and turn them into somewhat recognizable shapes. Now for the last trick, and that is to show the slats on the fence. I'm using a flat brush, and the trick is to use the same color as the color that's behind the fence. Now mine looks dark right at the moment, but that's because it's wet and watercolor dries lighter. It's good to try to be a little bit irregular because we know some of the grasses are covering the fence, and it also just gives a sense of realism, like the fence isn't perfect like you often see in fields. I'm darkening further the foliage in the foreground.
Looking at the painting now and thinking it's nearly finished, I decided to embellish by spattering with some white paint to give the suggestion of flowers. Problem is that it was going everywhere. It was getting all over the background hills, and I didn't like that, so I had to go back and mop those out. Now I'm doing what I should have done in the first place, and that is to lay down some tissue or paper towel on the areas that I didn't want spattered. Here is a landscape from a minimalist palette.